Hello dear students, welcome back to online English classes. This is session 3. Let's have a small recap of what we have learnt in the previous session. In the previous session, we have studied how Japanese respect one another's privacy and how courtesy substitutes privacy, and we have been discussing extensively about Japanese bowing culture. And we have seen how Japanese bow to each other with the ceremonious solemnity of a courtier. And we have seen that bowing in Japan has become an inimitable thing. And we have seen how bowing in Japan is so ritualistic. And we have understood that bowing in Japan is so quainter, more formal, more oriental, and so infectious. And we have come across their complicated hierarchy in bowing. We find complications in who bows to whom, how deeply, and for how long. And we have seen how these Japanese subtly reflect even the smallest differences in rank, standing, age, and social position in that split second of their bow. And we have seen why one man's bow is always shorter than the other. And in many situations, there are clear-cut differences in position and no difficulties. Well, in this session, we will learn about 7 important observations of George Meigs in different parts of Japan, and 6 of them are related to bowing. And at the end, he talks about Japanese way of eating soup. So let's get into it. Okay, you can see here 7 important observations of George Meigs in different parts of Japan, and as I already told you that 6 of them are related to bowing, and they are: the first one, the basic rules inside the family; the second one, babies carried in Japanese style; the third one is Japanese stores employ bowing girls; the fourth one is 2 conductors in Tokaido line; fifth one, bowing deer at Nara Park; the sixth one is bowing at bus stops, and at the end he talks about the Japanese way of eating soup that we will discuss later. Let us begin with the first one, and that is the basic rules inside the family. Apart from following complicated hierarchy in bowing, these Japanese follow certain basic rules inside their family, and they are: the wife bows to her husband, the child bows to his father, younger brothers to elder brothers, and the sister bows to all brothers of whatever age. Though it looks like humorous, so quainter and very rare, this bowing has become an integral part of Japanese family. The family is the most fundamental unit in Japanese society, where they all learn its basic rules. Since modesty and subtleties are the main building blocks of society, the parents build the strong foundation where the children learn all these nuances and subtleties of bowing. As I already told you in my previous class, Japanese follow various etiquettes and gestures, but this bowing has become the king of etiquettes, the king of gesture in Japan. So the children learn how to respect and how to be polite towards others. They strictly follow this rule in their family, and as a result, children become obedient and they learn how to respect others, and they depend on their parents' guidelines and instructions, and parents provide guidelines to children with close supervision and instruction. And as a result, children learn to diligently obey others and depend on their parents' guidelines. Even parents guide their children with close supervision and instruction. They monitor the development in order to establish routines and behavior patterns. However, this parental guidelines becomes less necessary as the children are able to manage their own routines and behavioral patterns as they grow older. Let us move on to his next observation, and that is babies carried in Japanese style. The author recollects a sight he had seen in Japan, that of Japanese mothers carrying their babies on their back on a little saddle, somewhat condescendingly from his majestic height. Here condescendingly means with an air of superiority, behaving in a way that you are better and intelligent than others. So Japanese mothers carry their babies on their back on a little saddle so that children can learn how to bow even before they can speak. Here saddle means a leather seat. Here saddle means a leather seat that we put on horseback, but in Japan it's a baby carrying device called onbuhimo. Onbuhimo, this is made up of cushion to strap the child into his mother's back, and we have seen how the little kids are strapped into car seats. It is almost similar to that. Since the baby is strapped into his mother's back, whenever mother bow, baby on her mother back also bow and could see all the differences and all the nuances of bowing from the majestic height. That too condescendingly. So condescendingly means with an air of superiority. And thus, even a baby in Japan learn to bow even before they can speak. Let us move on to his next observation, and that is Japanese stores employ bowing girls. The author says, Japanese stores employ bowing girls who stand at the top of escalators and whose only duty is to bow deeply and differentially to all and sundry. The Japanese equivalent of our page boys who turn revolving doors for us. The Japanese departmental stores is famous for their unparalleled customer service. The constant greeting by the staff is a distinguishable feature. If you visit any big departmental stores in Japan just before it opens, you would often see its employees lined up neatly, waiting to welcome customers. The moment the clock hit the opening time, the doors will be punctually opened and customers can make grand entrance flanked by bowing and greeting staff. There are other groups of employees that the Japanese stores employ, and they are bowing girls. They are all female staffs dressed up neatly, and their only job is to stand at the top of escalators in each floor. As the customer reaches each floor through the escalator, their only duty is to bow them deeply, differentially, and to all and sundry. Here differentially means with utmost respect, and sundry means to various kinds of people, to all kinds of people. Here all and sundry means it's an idiom that refers to all kinds of people or each and everyone. Now in the previous session we were discussing about three important types of Japanese bowing, and they are 15-degree bow, 30-degree bow, and 45-degree bow. 15-degree bow is called Eshaku, and 30-degree bow is called Kire, and 45-degree bow is called Saikire. Now, can you guess what type of bow that these bowing girls use in these situations? Yes, it is 45-degree bow. That means Saikire in Japanese language. I already told you in my previous session that Japanese opt for this kind of bow if they really want to thank someone or if they really want to say sorry for them. As I already told you, business people often do this to welcome their customers. Here bowing girls are compared to our page boys who turn revolving doors for us. Let us move on to his next observation, and that is two conductors in Tokaido line. Here author says the famous and fast Tokaido line between Tokyo and Osaka, two conductors enter the carriage in a slightly theatrical scene. They march to the middle of the coach, bow ceremoniously in both directions, and then start checking the tickets. Here the author narrates his experience on the fast and famous Tokaido line between Tokyo and Osaka. Here the Tokaido line is the major Japanese railway line of the Japanese Railway Group, and it is also called as JR Group Networks in Japan, which connects the four main cities in Japan, and they are Tokyo, Osaka, Kobe and Nagoya, where you can see large number of people. And the popular mode of transportation in these regions are the fast bullet trains. Tokaido line is one of the fastest line that you can see in Japan. It's a bullet train line, and it is the popular mode of transportation that you can see in Japan. And Tokyo is the capital city of Japan, and Osaka is the largest port city on the island of Honshu. And Osaka is famous for its modern architecture, nightlife and street food. And this Tokaido line connects the two major cities, and that is Tokyo and Osaka. The author says that two conductors in this Tokaido line enter the carriage in a slightly theatrical manner, march to the middle of the coach and bow ceremoniously in both directions, and then start checking the tickets. It tells us the fact that bowing has become an integral part of each and every profession in Japan. As you can see here, even the conductors on trains, they often turn and bow at each other. They often do this whenever they enter the carriage and leave the carriage. Onlookers like the author would be utterly enchanted by this custom, as it doesn't seem to be excited anywhere in the world. On the one hand, it seems to be so simple, respectful gesture actually which costs no money and time at all, and it also seems to be never dies out in Japan. On the other hand, it doesn't catch on in other lands. Outside of Japan, this custom would seem creepy, servile and robotic. Let us move on to his next observation, and that is bowing deer at Nara. The author says, in one of the parts of Nara, I met a deer. I bought a pack of food for him. He came up to me, looked into my eyes and bowed deeply. It was no chance gesture, it was a proper and courteous bow. Perhaps deer are more imitative than I knew. Perhaps if they see people bowing all the time, they get into the habit too. Perhaps it is something genetic and is in the blood of Japanese deer. I do not know, but I do know that the deer bowed to me, then jumped at me and snatched the little food bag from my hand. Here the author narrates how even an animal like deer does bowing in Japan. He narrates his experience in one of the parts of Nara. Nara Park is a vast wildlife park located in the city of Nara, Japan, at the foot of Mount Wakakusa, where wild deer roam about freely. And the deer of this place are called Sika deer, and also considered sacred deer, because according to local folklore, Sika deer of this area are considered sacred. And there is a belief that one of the gods of Wakakusa temple had visited the place of Nara, who came riding on a white deer. And this Nara park is also associated with so many temples, and this park is also home to the Nara National Museum, where you can find 50-feet statue of Buddha. And the author visited this Nara park once, and he bought a pack of food for the deer. The deer came up to him, looked into his eyes, and bowed deeply. The author states that that was not a chance gesture, but it was a proper and courteous bow. And the author states that deer are more imitative. Having seen people bowing at each other always, probably they also get into the habit. And he also states that there is something genetic. The bowing is in the blood of deer. But he was not sure about it, and that is why he says, I do not know, but I do know that the deer bowed to me. And finally he ends the incident by saying that the deer, after bowing to him, jumped at him and snatched the little food bag from his hand. And at the end he sarcastically says that in this too, deer was a true Japanese. He says that in a very sarcastic tone, probably in order to give a clue to his next observation, where you will find Japanese ugly behavior. Let us move on to his next observation, and that is bowing at bus stops. The author makes fun of Japanese for their ugly behavior while boarding a bus. The author says, as soon as the bus arrives, the bowing gentleman will transform themselves into savages. Well, here the author says, you can often see people bowing to each other with ceremonious serenity at bus stops. As soon as the bus arrives, the bowing gentlemen are transformed into savages. They push each other aside, tread on each other's toes, and show their elbows into each other's stomach. Using the incident of the deer which jumped at him and snatched the little food bag from his hand, the author makes fun of Japanese people for their ugly behavior while boarding a bus. He tells the reader in a sarcastic tone that we often find these Japanese bow to each other with the ceremonious serenity even at bus stops. Here ceremonious means an act, a bow which involved with lot of seriousness, with utmost respect. Serenity means a state of being calm and peaceful. So they bow at each other with this ceremonious serenity even at the bus stop. But this serenity will leave for a short time until the bus arrives. As soon as the bus arrives, these bowing gentlemen are transformed into savages. Savages means a brutal, wicked people. You know what they do? As soon as the bus arrives, these bowing gentlemen are transformed into savages and they push each other aside. They tread on each other's toes. Tread means to step on each other's toes, and show their elbows. Elbows means this, and show means roughly push. They show their elbows into each other's stomachs, because as soon as the bus arrives, each one wants to get into the bus first. And the reader, like you and me, who had been encouraged to develop a kind of admiration for the Japanese respectful bowing culture, is shocked and stunned by this ugly behavior of Japanese. Well, at the end, the author concludes his humorous observation on the Japanese way of eating soup. The author says that eating soup has more dangers than almost anything else. In many countries, making noise while eating or drinking is considered bad manners. But in Japan, slurping audibly or making a fearful noise while eating or drinking has been considered a standard model of social behavior, especially while eating soup. And it's a sign of appreciation. That means you are really enjoying your meal or soup. But eating soup in Japan puts an outsider in a dilemmatic situation, because if you do not make fearful noise when you eat soup, your host who is sitting next to you or in front of you will think that what an ill-natured lout you are. Here lout means awkward, clumsy and ill-mannered, and she will think that what an ill-mannered lout. But the problem is, if you are an European and if you make fearful noise while eating soup just to show your appreciation, and she will think that no reasonably well brought up European will make such disgusting noise, and he must be an ill-mannered lout. So the problem here is, even if you make noise, a fearful noise, when eating soup to show your appreciation, your host will think that you are an ill-mannered lout. Or even if you do make fearful noise as a sign of appreciation just to please your host, and in that case also she will think that you are an ill-mannered lout, because she'll think that no reasonably well brought up European will make such disgusting noise while eating soup. With this, we have come to an end of the first excerpt of the lesson titled Japanese Manners. But one thing you should remember, this narrative should be read as the author's perspective on Japanese culture. The author is not certainly finding any mistakes with the Japanese way of eating soup or their bowing culture. The author is only expressing his surprise when he looks at their cultural habits as an outsider. Alright, before ending this session, I have a few questions for you just to check your understanding. You can take down the questions. Question number 1. Where do the bowing girls stand in Japanese stores? Question number 2. What is the duty of the bowing girls in Japanese stores? Question number 3. Where did the writer meet a deer? Write answers to these questions and send it back to us through WhatsApp. Well, in the next session, we will start with the second excerpt of the lesson titled Traffic in Brazil. I will see you in my next session. Thank you.